let's call this to order, and it's Larry.
Yes,
Okay, and your last name?
Marino.
Okay.
I'm with PIF Technologies and DocStar.
So you are here to talk to us about cloud document.
Document management,
Okay.
yes. Managing our information electronically, the physical paper, the electronic files, that sort of thing.
Okay.
In the past few weeks and months, we've actually done a demonstration for you of DocStar. So I'm here to kind of answer some questions and try to put some minds at ease with respect to concerns and that sort of thing.
Okay. So tell us what we need to know.
Beautiful.
Since we have not heard your presentation, obviously.
Fair enough.
And that one of our charges, just so you know, is that we are responsible for setting the budget. And we wanted to hear what you had to say and
Sure.
try to understand what sort of thing this is, what it's going to accomplish for.
Well, first of all, PIF Technologies, we've been around for 18 years. Okay, we're a local company down in Hooksett, New Hampshire. We're comprised of about 53 people, 2,300 customers or so here in New England alone. And we sell, service, and support just one product, DocStar. DocStar is the solution that we're presenting to the county, okay? It is a software and hardware solution. Think of it as a central repository to house all of your documents, as well as electronic files, okay? So instead of going to the filing cabinet to pull a particular paper file, you'll simply be able to type in a couple of keywords and be able to find that file in as little as 3 seconds. That entire file structure, if you will, the way we file our documents today, will all take place here on premise. We will physically come here, sit with you and the other members of the organization, learn your filing process, then build DocStar to work the way your organization works. So it's a customized product, if you will, to help you organize and manage information electronically. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It'll be backed up to 2 secure SSAE 16 data centers, one of which is located in Andover, Massachusetts, and the other one is located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So you will actually have 3 copies of your files, one located here on your server, which I believe Rich had spec'd out for you folks. And the other 2 will be in those 2 data centers as well.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of the 2-minute overview, if you will, of what DocStar is and as well as the company behind it. Yes.
So we're working on the local server,
Correct.
and at night or something, it all backs up to the other 2.
You got it, exactly.
Okay.
And we'll determine that time with you and Rich and figure out the best time to do that. Absolutely.
And I don't remember, what are the costs associated with this whole thing? Is it
Sure.
a contract? Is it a?
Well, I believe we have spec'd out the server as well as the software. And it was, including all of the government programs that we have in place, came to about $28,810. Or you could put it on a municipality lease, which is a $1 buyout, 60 months, and that's roughly $582 per month. And you'll own that at the end as well. So either scenario, it's entirely up to you how you would like to acquire the system. And I brought extra copies of the proposal.
Okay. And
that was spec'd
and
out.
then what's the monthly charge?
Sure. Well, your first year, all of your support, so phone support, remote access support, as well as all of the updates to the system, are all part of that number already. So they're included at no additional charge. Okay. Your second year and beyond, those become options for you. So your remote access support, your phone support, and the upgrades to the system in year 2 and beyond are at 18% optionally of that $28,000 number. Okay? The off-site backup to those 2 SSE data centers I mentioned a moment ago, that is also included your first year at no additional cost. And in year 2 and beyond, that is a flat fee of $750 annually, which is also optional. So we could certainly tie into your existing backup if you'd like, or you could take advantage of the backup to those 2 additional data centers. Those are your costs.
Okay, so the 18% of 28,000, and that goes on for ever,
If you would like to continue it, yes. As I mentioned, there are 3 components to that 18%, one of which is your phone support, unlimited phone support, unlimited remote access support, as well as the updates to the system. And by the way, you are calling Hooksett, New Hampshire. We don't contract out any support. We don't even contract out any installation or implementation. It's all done by us. So with that said, those 3 components, you can certainly pick and choose if you'd like. You could say, hey, you know what, I've had the system for a year. I know I haven't been calling much because I get it. It's fairly simple. I'm figuring things out, no big deal. So you can actually carve out the remote access support and the phone support and just keep the updates to the system. If you'd like to do that, it's very simple. The updates are 15% and the support piece is 3%. So we can break it up that way as well. And again, both of those are options for you going forward in year 2 and beyond.
If I could take a step back a little bit, you're proposing a software and hardware solution.
That is correct.
Is your software available on a GSA contract?
It is. It is.
And you can unbundle the hardware piece,
Oh,
correct?
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I believe what we did is we included that after speaking with Rich, speccing in a specific.
Right. I don't, without going out to bid,
Yep.
I don't see that happening.
Okay. Sure.
So you can provide technical specifications on what hardware is required.
I can certainly do that, absolutely.
The hardware that you're proposing, is that server only? That's no desktops, no scanners,
That's
no
correct.
peripherals?
That's correct. Quite frankly, your existing workstations and desktops will be fine. We recommend that DocStar resides on its own server only really for troubleshooting purposes and things like that. But it doesn't need to reside on its own box. So certainly, if you have the equipment in place, there's no reason to do that.
Have you looked at an inventory of the existing hardware in terms of the PC, software, hardware levels there?
That's correct. I believe we have, yes.
Okay.
you've been working with, whatever the guy named.
John Rich?
Cybertron.
Cybertron.
Yes.
Cybertron.
Okay, okay.
You could also provide recommended scanning solutions.
Oh, absolutely. We can use your existing copiers and MFPs that are in place today. Absolutely. You do not need to purchase additional scanners. We could certainly provide individual desktop scanners if you would like. But I believe, that we're going to start by utilizing your existing hardware that's already in place.
What hardware is in place? The
Down in
scanning,
our
just
office.
just in your office?
Well, no, the other offices have abilities to.
Similar networked
Yeah. And
printer, scanner,
yeah,
copiers.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, this includes the nursing home, the administrative building, the farm,
It was for the whole county.
okay?
That's correct.
The nursing home now, though, has some that had upgraded their software. And I believe it does that feature, the scanning.
But does it,
that was needed.
go ahead. Lynette.
So
They have the medical piece, but they still, the nursing home would still need to use the business piece along with our business office also. The piece that they have that does all the scanning right now is the medical piece, which covers the HIPAA components and everything for their function.
yeah, because that was the concern with the nursing home, with the medical, that there has to be, like, when someone gets a copy of something, when anybody goes into a file, that there's a record of it, so that's on their software now.
And what about the sheriff?
Well, the sheriff has a system in his office. Whether he would use this or not, that would have to be a discussion with him. Because as I understand, and you can help me, that any of these documents are secure. You have to have certain levels to get into the documentation. It's, I guess if it's evidence, it's, I don't know, how do you code it?
All of the documents in DocStar, once they're in the system, become uneditable, unalterable. You can't even delete them from the system without permission. So all of the documents, once you bring them into the system, whether it's via paper through a scanner or you import them in electronically, now become your legal originals. They are submissible in local, state, and federal court. Okay, so those documents that are actually in there, you can shred the paper and, you know, move forward when you're comfortable, of course.
You mentioned they were unalterable. There's no ability then to mark up or annotate documents.
Absolutely, with annotations, yes. I'm referring to actually changing the original document in DocStar. Once it's in DocStar, for lack of a better term, it is locked. It is uneditable. If you'd like to change that original PDF file, if you will, you'd have to take the document out of DocStar, change the original file, and put that PDF back in. If you'd like to make an annotation, such as a redaction or, you know, marking it up with arrows and notations or sticky notes, things of that nature, you can absolutely do that in DocStar. It's simply an overlay on top of the document.
You mentioned deletions, and you require permissions and all to security to do that.
Correct.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about your audit trail functionality.
Absolutely. Built into every document, there is an audit trail. Okay, so DocStar can tell you who looked at the document, who printed it, who emailed it, who did they email it to, where did they email it from, did they do it from this office, did they do it from another office or at home. Basically, from birth to grave, everything that happens to that document is recorded in DocStar for its entire life in the system. Okay, we were discussing being able to delete a document from DocStar. You basically, when we come out to set up the system, we're gonna work with you and set up basically two people, if you will, that have delete rights. Each one of them will be independent of each other. Okay, so one person can delete the documents, the other person would need to be able to purge the system. So essentially kind of turning the keys at the same time to make sure that that document is actually deleted. So one person will have specific rights, or a group of people will have rights to delete, but it's not really gone until the other person actually says, hey, let's go ahead and purge the system. That's what I'm referring to with respect to permissions, to be able to delete a document from the system.
Can this take in direct electronic stuff like emails?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have an electronic document. There's a couple of different scenarios there, and we absolutely can bring an email in, and I'll talk to that in a moment. We can bring in, you know, pretty much any file type, so we can drag and drop files directly into DocStar. Emails, Microsoft Outlook, familiar with it? Okay, so there'll actually be a DocStar button built into Microsoft Office. So Word, Excel, as well as Outlook, now we'll have a DocStar button built into the program. So you can simply click that DocStar button, it'll pull the whole email into DocStar, including the attachments. So the header information, you know, who sent it and where it was sent to and the date, the subject line, all of that, plus the attachments, plus the body of the email. So that entire conversation thread, 2, 3, 23 emails long, whatever that might be, the whole thing will come into DocStar. Here's the key piece, as its native file. Okay, very important. DocStar does not convert anything. Okay, there's no DocStar file type or anything like that. So you bring in an email, it comes in as an email, an Outlook email. If you would like to email it out, you can absolutely take it out of DocStar if you'd like, and as a PSD file and send it right from your Outlook. Of course, you can email it directly from DocStar as well. Same thing with a Word document. You bring in a Word file, it stays as a Word file. If you'd like to take it out, it comes out as a Word file as well. Doesn't convert anything. Very important.
Maybe to someone else, do you use Outlook for your email system now?
Yes.
So, let me just, if I could.
Yeah, definitely.
You said that there were controls about who could and who couldn't retrieve or whatever documents. So how does the permissions, if that's the right term, work on things like email? You know, in other words, if Kathy sends an email to Asha, okay, can both Asha and Kathy retrieve it, and can Dave retrieve it?
If you would like them to, yes. If you would like Dave not to be able to see that email and Kathy and Asha are the only two people that can see it, I can do that as well. So I can actually restrict who sees what document at the actual document level. Okay? So, perfect example, my personnel file with respect to HR. My personnel file at the office is probably this thick after being there for 7 years. I'm still only allowed to see 2 pages of that. My Blue Cross Blue Shield beneficiary form, as well as my 401k beneficiary form. I can't see the whole file. I type in Marino, Larry, I get 2 line items, that's it. When the partners or our HR director type in Marino, Larry, they can see the entire file or the documents that they are allowed to see. Going further, I can actually restrict what people do with documents. If I don't want people to print stuff, they're not allowed to print anything. Basically, I can create a read-only document within the system. A new employee, has been here a week, don't want anything leaving the building. That person only has read-only access, that sort of thing. So I can restrict what people do with documents as well.
Okay. And as turnover occurs, how do you handle that?
With respect to
People.
Documents that, let's say that, I'll use Joe Smith as an example. He decides to quit.
Okay?
Okay, so he goes off and a new person is hired, Sam Brown. How does Sam Brown, what happens in that exchange of personnel?
Well, we would work with John and work with him with respect to, the whole hiring and terminating process and what happens to John Smith or Joe Smith, whoever it was that is now terminated. We would obviously, work with what documents or permissions of access he had. And when we bring on a new person, certainly, we'll figure out which departments or departments that person has access to and certainly set up those permissions and groups that way as well.
Okay, so all right, okay.
Does that fall under the $750?
No, that's part of the
backup?
that's part of the whole solution. There's no extra charge for that. I mean, that's part of DocStar.
Even after year 1?
Yep.
With that sort of getting into a workflow
Okay.
function,
Sure.
there is a workflow
There is. There is.
module, and is that part of your initial setup, or is that something that someone has to configure later on?
No, it's all part of that original number. It's all part of the whole implementation process. When I mentioned we come out here and we learn your process on how you file documents and that sort of thing, there is a basic workflow which is part of that number, as well as the setup and building of all of that. Essentially what that allows you to do is move, I'm going to just pick invoices off the top of my head, move invoices throughout the organization, possibly for approval. So an invoice starts here, it needs to go over to this person. When this person looks at it, he or she can approve it or reject it, and then move it on to the next step. Maybe there's another layer of approval that has to go on top. And then finally, that invoice will end up in somebody's inbox or their plastic tray on the corner of their desk, where, hey, Now we need to cut the check. Once that check is cut, that invoice then gets filed into the filing cabinet. So that basic workflow, if you will, is all part of that. The setup, the building of that, it's all part of that number. There's no additional cost for that.
Can we go back to the GSA contract?
Hi,
Hey,
John Rich.
John Larry Marino.
Hi, Larry. Continuing on with that same setup.
Yes.
Of course, that's all part of the initial fee, initial setup. Our infrastructure here is such that our 3 buildings are not currently physically connected to one another.
Okay.
That is in our future, hopefully sooner than later. When that happens, we would bring other departments into the DocStar system,
Okay.
which would then have to go through the whole setup workflow that you just described.
Sure,
That may be a year, 2 down the line.
of course.
Would you at that point come back and work with us to set those
Absolutely.
departments up?
Absolutely. Those other buildings, locations, whatever it might be, certainly, really what that entails, John, is just essentially adding users to the specific system. It's that basic, but yes.
I assume that, yeah, I assume there's another 3,000
If-
plus for hardware.
As John said, it's in this building here. How will the others have access to putting the information on if there's not right now the ability to do that? How does that work? Or does it?
It can work. Through the internet, I can allow access
That's correct.
from those buildings to this building and only from those buildings to this building. However, because it's over internet and internet speeds, it's not going to be efficient, if you will. So my personal recommendation would be bring them on after we tie all the buildings together.
Absolutely doable.
Right now, what we do is, we have like business shared, we have on the server, which has like, minutes and it has public notices and.
Sitting in Windows folders, I would assume.
Right.
And
on the
electronic,
drive,
yeah, and then, they're posted and all of that sort of thing.
Sure.
What does DocStar do that doesn't do First Now?
Well, essentially what you'd be doing is, today, walk me through this, today you're clicking through those Windows folders to find the files or documents that you were looking for, right? Well, going forward, now it'll be in DocStar, it'll be much more secure, it'll be backed up, plus you'll simply type in what you're looking for and it'll bring you right to that specific document or set of documents if that's what you were looking for. Of course, the security and legal piece of it, that's a whole other topic. Absolutely, now it's more secure, it's legal, it's your original, it's uneditable, it's unalterable, all of that. So there's some big bonuses there.
But ours is backed up now.
It's backed up, it's secure. I think the biggest feature that DocStar would add is the searchable index. You can search a couple keywords and it will literally, in a fraction of a second, give you all documents that meet
Works the
that
same way
criteria.
Google works. Yahoo search, those things.
I hope it doesn't work like Google, thank you very
DocStar-
much.
Right, yeah, right.
DocStar is built on a Boolean search, so you're looking for an ABC company, and there are, 50 documents in it, but I want everything that has to do with a particular bid number, 5273. You type in 5273, it takes that list all the way down to exactly what you're looking
Or
for.
like the minutes, the minutes we have,
Exactly.
we say, okay, I want the minutes that we talked about.
On this particular
The public
day.
notices.
You got it.
And it would pick up all the minutes that say public notices.
Correct. If you want to just see all the minutes, you type in minutes, you'll get them all. You want to see public notices, it takes that list down to minutes of public notices and then specific date ranges if you'd like as well.
Or subject matter.
Subject matter, great.
That's
Excellent.
within minutes or whatever.
Perfect, exactly. Right, it's spot on.
Oh,
This is more for you. Are we just talking about automating the workflow in here or all the records?
Well, that's where,
Down the road, okay?
well, John seemed to indicate that our speed between the buildings is not as good as might be necessary to actually accomplish this for the complex. Is that what you said?
It would work. It's not going to work as efficiently as it could. In our future is the process of linking the buildings. When that happens, that will allow the other buildings, the nursing home and the House of Corrections, to utilize DocStar to its fullest potential.
Okay, but it can be established initially for the entire complex. And then, even though
Correct.
they may not like it because it's not fast enough, but
Well-
they could certainly,
There is a component of DocStar, which I noticed is not in here, that Jim did not include in here. And he might have spoken with you about it. It's the NetConnect module. Did he mention that?
No, he did not.
Essentially, what NetConnect allows, it basically eliminates the sluggish internet piece. So if you're scanning back and forth from the other buildings to the host, if you will, here, it basically dedicates a direct tunnel to DocStar that you can do. But certainly retrieving information at those other locations, no problem. I mean, we're talking, I mean, you understand, we're not talking about great deals of file sizes going back and forth.
Ultimately, no, we're not. The issue is getting that volume of information into DocStar, which is not going to be
Exactly. That's why I had mentioned that
efficient.
NetConnect piece. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
That NetConnect piece would eliminate that inefficiency and make that much faster and much smoother. As you said, and this is entirely up to you, I like to use the phrase, we crawl before we walk, before we run. And certainly, bringing DocStar on for the all the facilities, absolutely, and retrieving information from those other buildings, not going to be a problem. But scanning images, if you will, or importing images from those other locations to the DocStar host, yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
There will be a lag, if you will, or some sluggishness over the internet. The NetConnect module, if you will, actually eliminates that lag, but you don't need that out of the gate. And if your plan is to bring everybody onto the same network and that down the road, my recommendation would be to take that and crawl before we walk, before we run.
however, I don't like the idea of, if we're going to implement something, I want to implement it across across the complex.
Okay?
Because otherwise, you end up with, I'd rather have one change than a million changes, if that makes sense. In other words, if we're going to get the county into this sort of thing, then I would prefer that the county get into this sort of thing and move forward with it. Because it helps with the training aspect of it. It helps with the management aspect of it, as far as the business office is concerned. And we'll just have to. Is there an additional charge for
There
this
is.
NetConnect?
There is. The NetConnect piece is about a $6,000 add-on module. And that may have been why.
Can you explain to me exactly how that makes
Sure.
a difference?
Essentially, what it does is it allows the direct scanning or importing of image files directly to the DocStar host. It's basically that direct tunnel from those other locations to DocStar. And it does not restrict any of the other bandwidth. Basically opens that up for you. It's an add-on, it's a module to DocStar, which allows that direct importation of those files. So that, in other words, if you were scanning it today from building A, which is over the internet, not connected to the network, I don't know, it might take, you could download all of that information at the end of the day, and you'll still have it there. If you wanted to do it live, yes, as to your point, it would take a while to get to that point, depending on your bandwidth and that sort of thing. DocStar increases that bandwidth, the NetConnect piece of DocStar increases that bandwidth and allows that direct image to hit DocStar in a live format, if you will.
I guess I still don't follow as to how it increases bandwidth. I mean, we have a limited amount of bandwidth. I mean, our upload speed at any of these buildings is very limited. Whether you have additional software or not, you're still limited by the physical speed of our connection.
It basically opens it up so that instead of that file ending up being brought in at the end of the day if you will. What most of the customers do that have several locations that don't want to add net connect, or in your case, want to bring it on, bring all the locations on at a later point, they'll scan to a file, and at the end of the day, DocStar will go out, sweep all of those folders and pull that information in from those other locations. Because they don't want to restrict any of the bandwidth at those other locations. They want to make sure that, hey, when I scan it through, I'll let it sit there for a period of time, whatever that might be. DocStar will go out and grab it and pull that in, at the end of the day, so it's there in that file for the morning or something like that. If you wanted that document in a live part of the day in the morning, that day, you can scan it directly to DocStar by utilizing the NetConnect piece. It will minimize I'm trying to think of the right term here. It'll minimize the usage of the other systems and allow it directly into DocStar so that it doesn't impact as much of your bandwidth.
Is it akin to a VPN tunnel that it creates?
Similar to that, that's correct. That's the way we utilize DocStar. I'm on the road as well a lot, so I scan directly to, and we use a VPN through terminal servers, very similar to that, yes. Yes, and I will preface this by saying that, the whole technical thing, that's why we pay those guys what they have. It's a little over my pay grade. The technical terms, I'll figure that stuff out as we go, but that's the layman's terms.
Is a remote hosting an option also rather than on-site
It is.
hardware?
It is, if you'd like to. The cloud, I'm assuming, is what you're referring to? Yes.
Tom?
Are we talking just doing the workflow, or we also, in this building, we have the Register of Deeds? Are we going to put all that on DocStar?
Don't look at me.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I wouldn't think so. They have their own system.
I think they have their own system too, yeah. I'm not sure.
The Register of Deeds does have a system.
Yeah, I know that. I've used it, unfortunately.
I don't know. That's perhaps something for the future.
Okay.
I think that with the registrar, that might be one of those pieces that we don't attempt initially.
Yeah.
Because they do have their own
Yeah.
sort of system. And it may be that the gurus can figure out how to move the information from their system into DocStar. It may not require anything other than an interface
I think you're correct. Yeah.
listen to me talk like I understand this stuff.
I believe the register.
And, there may be an interface that can be, programmed.
I believe everything in the registry is already digitized into
It
their
is.
own system, so trying to bring it into DocStar, you're just duplicating all that effort. I don't know that it's really necessary because they already have a searchable index of.
No, I was just
registry
trying
related.
I'm just trying to figure out what we're attempting to do. No.
Do you integrate with other systems? For instance, would there be integration with our financial system or payroll system?
You absolutely can do that. Yes.
But it probably isn't a native interface or off-the-shelf interface, I would guess.
We'd probably have to create a file and they'd have to have
Right.
an interface transaction.
What do you use for your financial software?
It's ACS.
Okay. There are, essentially, what would you like to do with respect to integration? What is it that you're thinking, when you say, can it integrate with? The broad answer is yes. What is it that you'd like to accomplish?
Well, for instance, invoices you talked about earlier.
Mhm.
I imagine.
Yeah, as far as like invoices go, let's say, because we get them from the nursing home, we get them from the various departments. So, and we get the hard invoice with the approvals on them, with all the backing and that sort of thing. And it has gone through the process of being approved by the department heads and all of that. So.
Physical paper you're referring to.
Right.
Okay.
Now, because what happens is, the invoices come over for payment, the approvals, the backup is there, the, we process them in our office, then the treasurer goes through them and signs them, and then the commissioners go through them and sign them, and they look at the backup.
Okay?
So how would we
How does that look
how
in
would
DocStar?
it be
Sure.
different?
So, where does that information come into the building?
Comes into the business office.
Okay, and a name, is Catherine?
Catherine,
Okay.
Catherine.
So
That's-
Catherine receives that physical piece of paper.
Yep,
At that point in time, she could scan it into DocStar, okay? And she could scan it to her own inbox, Catherine's inbox. And it's like the plastic tray on the corner of her desk, okay? So today, she takes that invoice, she puts it on the corner of her desk until some point in time. Then she takes that stack and she kind of distributes them for signatures. Is that pretty much the
yeah, once the
process?
checks are done, and,
Okay, so when she gets that physical piece of paper, she could scan that in to DocStar, into her inbox, Catherine's inbox, and let it sit there, and she could create the checks and do what she normally does. The next step, she could then route those documents to, give me the person's name of who does that first set of approvals you were talking about.
oh, the treasurer?
Okay?
The treasurer signs.
So then she could take those list of documents and route them to the treasurer, so they would show up in the treasurer's inbox. The treasurer, that's me, I get a little pop-up that now says, Catherine just sent me a set of documents. I need to do something with them. I can open them all up, I can review them, I can approve them or reject them electronically with a stamp. It'll say approved, it'll be a green thumbs up, or I can say rejected, it'll be a red thumbs down. I can even type in my notes as to why it was approved or why it was rejected. I, the treasurer, now move them to,
The commissioner.
Commissioners.
goes on to the commissioner's inbox.
So they have to have computer access to the invoices.
If you want them to view
I'm just-
documents electronically, yes, they would. So they would be sitting at their desk, they would get a little pop-up that says the treasurer just sent you a set of documents, same thing, same process. They would be able to open them, approve them, and reject them, another approval or rejection on top of the one that the treasurer just put on. And then from that point, where do they go?
Well, they're signed and then
From the commissioner?
they get mailed out.
Okay, and that could be the end of the process, the checks would be mailed out at that point, or basically, what you're saying is the commissioner would send them back to Catherine saying, hey, everything's approved, and go ahead and mail the checks.
Right
Okay.
at this point, they have all of them, and they're signing them.
Sure.
And then we got some that maybe put them off to the side because they don't want to sign that one.
Yep.
And then we got this one, so
Same process, just electronic.
just electronic. So they would have to keep conscious of the ones that they did not approve.
Well, they would actually be able to see them. You could even get,
I would assume Catherine
Yeah.
could see them in her.
oh,
inbox.
absolutely, yes,
Pending.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, when we come out to set up the system with you, we're gonna apply best practices, okay? What all of our other customers do. I mean, you're not the only one, that has an accounts
sure,
payable. They're relatively the same,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
different names and
Yeah, yeah,
paperwork
yeah.
kind of thing. So when we come out to set up that system, we may, and some of my own personal customers have done it this way, where they'll create an inbox that says, waiting to be approved, okay? So that all of the documents that Catherine might have might be sent to the waiting to be approved inbox or folder, if you will. And the treasurer and the commissioner have access to that folder. The treasurer goes in, he approves those documents, and you'll be able to see them, whether they're approved or rejected, right there on the screen. And if there are 2 levels of approval, and it's only that are needed, and there's only one thumbs up, and then the commissioner puts his thumbs up, they'll both be ready to go, and then that person can move that into the waiting to be paid or approved to be paid or something along, and that's kind of what you do today. We'll use your language for that, however you want to name it.
Now, to shorten the steps, not shorten the steps, but at the nursing home, what if they scanned them in and sent them to Catherine?
Sure.
Rather than, is that a
Brilliant.
feature?
Absolutely. Happens all the time. You can certainly do that. Quite frankly, we'd encourage it.
Yeah, then there's no
That's
papers
right.
going anywhere.
And again, let me be clear, we're not waving a magic wand and saying, poof, there goes all of your paper. Okay, that's not what this is about. There's no such thing as a paperless office or a paperless organization. Exhibit A, okay? It just doesn't happen that way. We will help you reduce it, but really, the biggest piece here is that we're making you more efficient. That's the bottom line. it's all about efficiency. It's all about people's time. How long does it take to find a particular document? Where is it? Who has it? I can't find it. How many times does that happen on a daily basis? When we take that core piece and then we layer in the rest of this, the workflow, the invoices, the HR files, the security, the redundancy of backing things up and that sort of thing, now you're becoming a much more efficient organization, safe, secure, et cetera, et cetera.
Could I ask, Kathy, at what point does that invoice and cutting the check get entered into the financial system?
Well, that's my next question, because, right, we, in our office, we key in. The department heads say which account they want it charged to,
Okay.
whether it's office supplies or whatever.
Sure.
And then we, in our office, key it in.
Okay. When that invoice comes back
When
with the note on there that says keyed in or GL code or some specific
Right,
code.
it's on,
to-
right on there.
Yeah.
The GL code's on there, the approval's on there from the department head, obviously the invoice, the vendor, all that. Now, when that gets scanned,
Okay.
do we in turn still have to implement that, or does DocStar take it and pick up the vendor number, pick up the invoice, or do we still have to
You'll
do
still
that?
plug that
That's
into
where
ACS.
that's where the interface comes in.
You'll still plug that into the ACS. Into
Okay,
ACS.
we
You'll still-
won't interface, I don't think.
It will. There is a piece of DocStar that can do this functionality for you, but it's not something that I would recommend at the county level, because really your ROI on that is, thousands upon thousands of invoices. So yes, you would still enter that data into ACS, if you will, but DocStar can pick up that information on that particular invoice, especially if it's entered in on a specific node or an approval or rejection. By
So-
that.
Unless ACS wanted to use your, I assume you have APIs.
Absolutely, oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, certainly.
But in essence, we'd have to be looking at either a list from the DocStar or the actual invoice to get the vendor, that we have now.
I'm not sure I follow your.
Well,
Kathy.
like on the piece of paper, it has the vendor number of 100, it has the account number of, so we
That's
still.
written on the physical invoice.
On the physical
Okay.
invoice, so unless you have like two screens going
That does make you more efficient, absolutely, if you have two monitors, sure.
and you're going back, so that you can be looking at, otherwise we would still have to have something
Most
in front of us.
accounting or financial applications, typically, even before DocStar comes in, typically have two monitors. Does it make you more efficient? Yes, because you'll have your invoice on one and DocStar on the other, or
Mhm.
ACS.
And you're just
is-
going
Exactly.
back and forth.
You could certainly do that. Is it required? No, but does it make you more efficient? Without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, even without DocStar, two monitors make you more efficient.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we're getting a little bit into
Yeah,
the
we're
weeds
dead,
of,
Right.
yeah.
of how the system works rather than discussing, and I understand the problem, but go ahead.
What other counties do you work with?
oh, we've got, I can give you an entire list. In fact, let me see if Jim actually.
Other counties just in New Hampshire?
Absolutely, absolutely. I can get you a list.
And
And
what
it-
other companies are in competition with you?
Your copier guy. Your copier guy, just think of one off the top of my head, certainly. But I'll say, there's really no direct apples-to-apples comparison as a competitor, from a competitive standpoint. It's really not that type of a business. But certainly, your copier guy, or, I'm sure everybody's seen the commercial on TV, the Neat Desk and that sort of thing. That's for home use and things like that. There's really, this is all we do. The applications are gonna be very similar. Everybody's gonna have their own pluses and minuses and pros and cons. It's software. Everybody's gonna have their own benefits and features. Really, what it boils down to, and I'll look you all square in the eye and tell you this, what it really boils down to is the company behind it. Okay? Software. We're a local company. This is all we have sold for 18 years. This is all we do. We don't do anything else. We don't sell copiers. We don't sell phone systems. We don't sell computers. This is it. We've built our business in Hooksett on this one product.
On that client list, if you could indicate if there are both companies or agencies that have a hosted solution versus an on-site solution.
Okay?
Imagine we want to talk to both.
Okay.
And I assume that you're talking about a prospective rather than retrospective implementation?
With regard to,
Implementation, scanning of documents and so forth, doing it prospectively rather than
you can do it either way.
retrospectively?
You can do it either way. We do recommend, most of our customers will actually, you know, every single one of them put the stake in the ground and go forward, okay? Some of them will take the old files and pick a specific time frame and say, all right, you know what, let's bring all this in.
Current
We've got-
fiscal year or something?
Exactly. We've
Right.
got nieces, nephews, grandkids, you know, school vacation week, we got winter break, things of that nature, summer vacation. Bring them in, we set up a scanner and a laptop, basically a scan station, if you will, and well, let's bring in this current fiscal year stuff, and let's get it in the system and move on. The other way that just about everybody, all of our customers will use DocStar is, every time you do go to the file to actually pick up a specific document, a file folder, for example, well, don't put it back. Scan it, put it in DocStar. So before you know it, through osmosis or normal everyday business activities, you've eliminated that drawer, little by little. So it's kind of a combination of all three of those. But every single one of them, straight across the board, stake in the ground, let's move forward.
Same way with library automation. I used to be
Yeah.
involved in that.
Yeah.
You know, when you take a book out, that's when you put it into the system.
You got it, exactly. That's exactly right. And then little by little, hey, the books, you know, they're gone.
Well, thank you very much, Larry, and
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate it because we certainly weren't aware of everything that your company has to offer.
Well, it was my pleasure. It was my
And we
pleasure.
appreciate that very much.
I will leave my cards here if you have
Okay.
additional questions. Feel free. And who should I email the list? Should I email it to you, Winetta, with respect to
Kathy Geary.
Kathy?
Kathy Geary. Yeah.
Okay. I think I have your email
Yeah.
address. The referrals and such.
And if you have updated copies of your proposal, just so we're all working with the same.
Sure. I will leave these as well. And I wrote on this one that NetConnect piece as an option with a question mark, so if you'd like to, you know, we can figure that out, but I have those notes. And I will just leave that for you.
Okay,
Is that all right?
great. Thank you so much.
It is my pleasure. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Larry.
I'm contagious.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I have two little boys. I'll stay on this side.
Okay. Excuse me. Hello? Hello?
Pleasure meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you have questions, please shoot me an email.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. I'll shoot that off to you.
Okay, great, thank you.
This leads us, I think, into a discussion of technology. And Kathy, you were going to put together
I did a rough.
something for everybody that we can
You
look
can
at
talk
and talk
about
about.
and
Yeah.
decide if an IT budget. It's, if we were to pull out from the various, excuse me.
Thank you, Mayor. Is this easy to do?
I did it in Excel. I did not create it
Oh.
in my financial software program because it takes a lot more to do. And if we're not gonna do it, This is just in Excel, and it's just a simplified. Certain categories.
Thank you.
I'll wait for Karen.
Okay.
This, I created just an Excel
Mhm.
for what categories I thought might be what you would be wanting in an IT budget. First line was countywide contracts. Those are contracts with vendors that service the whole county. Like Cybertron for one.
Is this Cybertron, Kronos?
Yeah, something that services the whole,
Okay.
not individually.
But it's just those two? Kronos
I
and
believe so,
Cybertron?
yeah, yeah.
How about
So-
virtual town hall?
Well, these are things that, we have to decide if that's.
Right, right, I was just wondering, those are
That could
included
be in
also.
there, yeah, virtual town hall.
But it's not.
Well, I just picked the total budget amount from the IT, and that was the contracts.
Okay.
Like the commissioner's office, we have a computer expense that is for our AS400 system, for the financial payroll, it's not, the sheriff's department, they have their software specific to them. And the nursing home has theirs specific to them. So I put those out there. I did a line for IT supplies to break that out, IT repairs, so that we can get a feel for how much repairs are done during a year, and a line for training.
Computer expense for the nursing home is $57,000 a year?
No, that was a one-time upgrade, I believe. Last year, they upgraded their nursing home software.
Right.
So that is not their annual expense. I don't know
Okay.
what is their annual expense, but I do know that wasn't.
Okay, so this is
upgraded
just,
last year.
Kathy, this is just an
Well,
example
let
of.
me just check that because of.
Yeah, and I'd also be interested in what line in the 2013 budget they got $57,000 for their system from?
They actually spent 46,000 or 40,000 in 2013. They have 57 budgeted for 2014. And what could that be?
I would have to see what their maintenance contract on their Keen software is. It's not something that goes through me.
Okay, so this is just an example of how you would set it up.
That's-
There's not
this
this
is-
specific
no, it's
detail.
right, it's just
Okay.
an example, and I just put those different categories in. I didn't know if you wanted broken out further, or,
Right, because I
This
would
is
like,
just a-
I would like the specific detail when we're looking at the 2014 budget. Because, according to this, there's no new PCs, there's no new hardware, there's no new hardware of any kind.
well, under the capital expenditures, there's for the jail.
Right,
there's
right, but
a-
that's the only PC we intend to buy this year.
The big expense this year is replacing the servers at the jail.
And that's in the capital
That's
line?
in the capital. A lot of the departments squeeze money out of their various budgets for new PCs. We didn't have any capital.
Right, why wouldn't that be in the budget? Specified in the budget rather than squeezing something out of the budget? Because we're gonna squeeze the budget in the next couple of weeks.
Ultimately, I agree, it should be.
Right.
However, we've been having difficulty getting as much money as we would like, if you will. So we're trying to keep our costs down as much as we can.
I don't think that's a proper way to run a county budget. You know, if you're anticipating buying new equipment, it should be in the budget, period, in my way of thinking.
I would absolutely agree.
Especially when you're running, you know, $1 million surpluses each year in the county budget. But that's enough for that.
This is the fourth year of our 4-year plan to get all the buildings current on their server equipment. And from this point forward, we will be on a rotating schedule to keep everything from getting as far behind as it was at this point. And I agree, we should be able to look at a list every year in knowing how much equipment is of a certain age and this needs to be replaced every year.
I have a
We
question.
have that, right?
That's where we're going from this point forward, yes.
I have a question I have.
Sure.
Yeah, you said this is the 4th year of the 4-year plan. Can I have a copy of this plan? And actually, who was there, who made up this plan? Where is this plan coming from? Was there an independent agency here in the county? Look at the network and everything and made up a plan? Where is the plan coming from? You just stated this is the 4th year of the 4-year plan. I'd like to have a copy of the plan.
I will go back and find the original plan for you.
We all had it, right?
Yes, actually, when you brought me on 3 years ago, I did a full countywide analysis.
So you did a county-wide analysis and
Yes, I
you
did.
make up the plan
You
and
should
you're
have a
running the
copy.
network.
Yeah. Commissioner Kenny, I believe that was done before you were commissioner, so you may not have that.
Oh,
but I
okay,
will.
I'd like to have a copy.
Yes.
That was part of the reason that we hired Cybertron, was exactly for that reason, so that we would have some sort of plan that we didn't have, so. Okay. So, Kathy, this is not what we would consider to be the total expenses, but rather just simply identifying categories.
Right, as to what you would want the IT budget to look like,
Mhm.
what information you would want in there.
So.
And I know there's the IT committee met, and I did not attend, I think, were you representative? I don't know if you addressed this at all, or going forward.
Right, it was discussed, and basically, I didn't want them to have to go back and pull everything apart in the budget this year, but just, you know, putting it together in this format, you know, I thought was acceptable for this year, and then look at it going forward to be part of the annual budget as a separate department. I didn't want to create more work for them than.
Well, yeah.
But I did want to see the actual detail pulled out from the budget.
Okay, I can give you that.
The concern that I have is on computer expenses. I would certainly like to see each of the organizations, you know, the jail, you know, not, you know, if the, or the farm, you know, if this year you're gonna upgrade the farm, or, you know, what I'm saying is that this doesn't give us the full picture of the IT budget. It may give us the picture for this year, but it doesn't give us the full,
So would you like a separate a separate section for the jail, for the sheriff's department, for,
don't
Yeah,
you think?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great.
And that way, I mean, if it's 0 for this year, it's 0 for this year.
like a subcategory, like under, let's just say under new equipment, a
Mhm.
subcategory for
Right, yes.
nursing home for the.
Correct. Yep.
that.
If-
And-
If IT was a separate budget item here, then that's exactly how it should be.
Mhm.
You know, listed by department, if you will, and what's spent. And also, there are other items that should be what I would consider IT. Most places, their copier expense would come under the IT line. Mobile phones would come under the IT budget line item, to get a full picture of what's spent on IT. You know, even though my company doesn't take care of activating and deactivating mobile phone lines, it is considered IT, and that should be under that budget.
We'll probably get to mobile phones and so forth today, probably.
Yeah, I guess at this time, I would like to just look at computers and servers and internet upgrades and modems and, you know, whatever is the, I guess I'd use the term traditional IT sorts of hardware, software. And I think we also, you know, when we talk about the countywide contracts, or the contracts, I'm not sure that, you know, we need to make sure that we have every software contract in there. And I don't care if you call them countywide or you call them specific, but they just need to be identified as a, you know, as a software contract. Because I know we have lots and lots of them, so it's,
Yeah, because like
Have a
with
comment.
the registry of deeds, you know,
Mhm.
she has hers,
Mhm.
which is for deeds, and,
Mhm.
you know, their equipment is all part of their contract.
Right, I
So she
under-
doesn't get new equipment, it's all part of her contract that she pays to,
but that's a countywide, I mean, that's a,
specific to her.
Right.
that's a contract that's specific to the registry of deeds.
So if she needs a monitor, she's not buying it, it's all part of her.
Well, actually, she's buying it because
It's
it's,
a contract, but it's all income.
Yeah.
If they upgrade their PCs or
Right,
whatever,
right.
the company upgrades the PCs.
right, but we pay for that.
Right, but have a
Right.
separate.
Yeah, have it separate, you know, register of deeds, you know, they're planning to spend whatever it is this year in, you know, they've got a contract and it includes blah, blah, blah. Yes, Sasha?
Yeah, I have a comment. Usually, the IT contract, the delegation actually vote on it, if they want to fund it or not. If you look at Belknap County, when I talk about them, about the ID contract, they just bring the ID contract for the delegation, $100 to $150,000, and they can vote or reject it. They vote on it if they
Well,
want to accept it or
yeah.
not. But here,
We-
what they did with the IT contract here with Cybertron, they actually broke it down into different departments, so it was automatically approved.
And that's only part of it. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we're, you know, looking at IT as a whole, not because of Cybertron, but that we don't feel that we have a very good handle on how much the county is spending for IT. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's the Cybertron contract, the Cronus contract, or some other contract. It's buried within the budget. And,
Yes.
and it's not something that we can track. And I think that that's really what we're trying to look at from a financial standpoint. It doesn't mean that we're, you know, the delegation doesn't approve contracts. The commissioners approve the contracts.
For the fund?
But it's our responsibility to look at the funding.
We approve contracts.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and speaking of that, has our matrix contract been approved?
Not that I haven't heard anything about it, no.
Has our matrix contract been approved?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything.
That was the performance audit? I
Yeah.
think that was
Yeah.
the performance
Right.
audit subcommittee.
Right.
And,
So what do you need that you haven't gotten?
We need some kind of a paper to sign for a contract
agreement maybe,
agreement.
Okay, 'cause I thought it had gone,
or a
I guess,
or a
I'll check with
proposal.
Mark and see.
We haven't seen it.
Was it not, did it go to RFP? I thought it was the RFP.
Oh, the RFP's going out.
The RFP is
And
been
they,
out.
and the
and
delegation
I-
approved. We haven't seen a contract, though.
I thought the
Well-
agreement, well, okay,
Yeah, we'll check into that, yeah.
we'll make sure you get that.
Yeah.
Are you meeting Wednesday?
What's that?
Are you meeting on Wednesday?
No, we're not,
Okay.
So why are we not meeting?
because we decided we wouldn't meet.
Who decided that?
I did.
With who?
Okay, it doesn't,
Doesn't
that's
Yeah.
not my
So
problem.
there is no meeting Wednesday?
Okay.
We'll get you that this week.
When?
We told you that.
No, I
Um,
didn't know that.
Just while we're talking about contracts, point out one other that came to light in the IT meeting was the large, the networked copy scanner, so forth that we have, such as in the business office. The county actually has 3 separate contracts with the same company for these devices. Correct? Was it Porter Office Systems or something?
Oh, for copying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 3 separate contracts with them, based on the department. So, I would just recommend that maybe we could take a look at, when those contracts expire and see if we could do,
We've
One
already
contract?
discussed that.
Okay,
Commissioner Babson pointed that out, and that's what we were going to do.
great.
So, is there anything else that you two men know a lot more about IT than I do?
I can spell it.
Yeah. Give me that.
If I, just for clarification,
Uh-huh.
if I understand it right, what you want to do is have an IT budget. So everything that's in the department budgets now for next year would be taken out. It'd be a separate IT budget. And the IT budget then would have the departments listed in there as to where the money is to be spent, correct?
The only,
Okay.
the only question that I have is whether or not we should pull the, because the nursing home is its own budget,
Enterprise.
enterprise
Yeah.
fund, that I would
That's a good point.
I would not think we should pull it out, but I think that we should have the same,
Within the nursing home, the 300 fund, we could have an IT fund.
yes.
Yes.
Like we have a maintenance and we
Right.
have a housekeeping.
Right.
We have, it could have its own
Yeah.
IT
Great.
fund.
And that way, we would have the IT separated in the nursing home and then the rest of the complex,
In the 100 fund.
yeah, in the IT fund. Yes.
Why wouldn't we have it both ways? Have this and then pull things out like IT that we want to see in total? And this be the budget that we approve, and the IT, this be the piece that we look at so that we know what
Well,
the.
I think that for this year, rather than trying to make all these additions of line items and so forth, would be considerable work for the business office. I think just pulling everything out, in a separate spreadsheet like this, would be fine. But going forward, to have, just like we have human resources or maintenance or anything in the budget, in the general fund, have an IT section in there. And then underneath that, you could see, equipment for the commissioners or equipment for maintenance, et cetera.
But you were really asking why we would put the nursing home in in a separate category?
No, I was just, it seems to me that what we've done here is sufficient. I mean, we have a budget in the traditional way, and we can pass the budget, but because we want to know what we totally spend in IT and perhaps several other issues, that we break them out separately, in addition to leaving them in here.
I would say right now, this is creating additional work, some additional work for the business office. Whereas if it's all in the budget, I think it'll be easier going forward for everybody.
Okay.
Right, but you're not talking about for 2014, the budget
Correct.
you're voting on now.
Yeah.
Right,
If
right,
this
but
will
if
be
you pull
for
things
the-
out in this.
Like in an Excel, that's,
Right.
like the cell phone question, you got
Right.
that in Excel. But, and actually with the IT committee working this year for the 2015, we'll
Right.
be able to develop this to what is really
Right.
needed.
Yes.
Okay, but are we going to be able for 14 to have a total amount?
Right.
Yeah,
We'd be
I
able
will,
to.
Okay.
I will update this with all the numbers that
Okay.
are
Right.
in the budgets for that
Right.
in an Excel,
Okay,
rather than creating.
right, no, no.
Because
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
little bit of work.
Right.
But for next year's budget,
Yeah, 2015.
Right.
okay? Okay, is that, all right. Okay. Any other discussion on IT? Now, the IT committee is a committed committee? Oh, God.
Or should be committed? I don't know.
Okay. And can you tell me who is on the committee?
We have a representative from the county attorney's office, Wanda. We have from the nursing home, Paula Coates.
Jail, Jason Henry.
Yeah, the jail is Jason Henry. The farm, do I think
We didn't have anybody at the farm.
Nobody was from the
But
farm.
they
And
kind of
then-
fall into the jail.
Yeah, and they're such limited use. From this building was myself and also Lieutenant Santuccio.
Keith Brown?
And, yes, and Keith Brown from dispatch, because he's got a pretty good working knowledge about it. And Commissioner Sorensen sat in as a representative from the commissioners.
And, yeah, representative.
And Representative Cordelli from the delegation. John Rich was an invited guest at our first meeting, but because he's got quite a bit of the knowledge of the workings of the system, will be typically invited to the meetings unless we feel that it would be a conflict for him to be there, so.
And the commissioners have made this a decision-making committee?
No, we would bring it to the commissioners.
They would bring it.
No, that wasn't my question. In other words, if your committee decides to paint all of the computers pink, your committee can make that decision and then bring it to the commissioners.
Right. For final approval,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that was,
Lavender would be better.
oh, yeah, I can't imagine that. But that's what I meant as far as a
So-
decision-making committee. That-
So it is advisory then?
Pardon?
Is that advisory?
No, it's not advisory because they're making decisions.
But they don't, they make decision, but we
They don't have final
say.
approval.
They don't have final
So
approval.
they still have to come to us.
Correct.
Oh, absolutely.
So they probably
Yes.
make a recommendation then.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that the IT committee is the ones that come forth with whatever needs to be done,
Yes.
yeah, to the commissioners, because obviously the commissioners have to make those decisions, and I would agree with that, so. All right. So I think IT is, at least we'll have some progress now. How long is this gonna take you, Kathy?
Well, I'll work on it if you want it for next Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That'd be
I
great.
will like get in touch with like the nursing home. What is their 57,000 for? And,
Okay.
yeah, so anybody that I have a question of, I will get the answers.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm not taking it out of the budget. I'm just
No,
gonna
no.
do an Excel.
Right, right. That's good. Okay.
Even better, Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, better Excel. Okay. Representative Cordelli, right, asked for a breakout on cell phones, which Kathy provided. Everybody got a copy?
No, I
Okay. And let me first say, okay, that cell phones, I believe, are important, and it's obvious that we need to support them. But we run into the question, at least from my quick review of this, that it doesn't appear that we have a consistent policy across the county offices. And in some cases, we don't even have consistency within a particular area. So, I don't know if the commissioners have ever pulled this out and looked at it, or ever had a thought, or if in fact you have a cell phone policy available that tells, that's a countywide cell phone policy thing.
I don't believe we have a policy for cell phones.
Okay.
The people who have cell phones are in a position where they need them. So I guess you're
Remember-
looking at what kind of a policy. are you
Remember,
looking
I
at?
didn't
I know it.
I didn't say anything about need.
Yep.
What I said was, it appears that each department is funding cell phones in a different manner. And that's where my concern is, in that we are treating, if we're saying that everyone in the county attorney's office has to have a cell phone, and we're only giving them $20 a month, okay? Should that be the same policy for the people in the jail? Why is their cell phone thing more important than the county attorney's cell phone thing? And by having different amounts across the complex, that's exactly what we're saying. And so, I'm also
What you're saying is that some people we pay the full amount for the cell phone, and others we pay a shared amount to go towards their personal phone that they use.
well,
So are you saying that we should all have our own county cell phones?
I didn't say that. I said you
Okay.
need to develop a policy that makes sense.
Okay.
And I would suggest that within the policy, there's a process for approval. I'm not clear, looking at this, who approves either a cell phone purchase or the reimbursement. Do the commissioners approve that?
Yes.
The commissioners
Through the
approve that.
departments- Through the departments, yes. They come to us.
They come to you with a request that Joe Smith.
So-and-so should have a cell phone.
Right, in addition to he wants document access in DocStar. Joe Smith also wants a cell phone. So the department head would come to you and say, Joe Smith wants a cell phone, and you vote on it in one of your
Right.
Wednesday meetings.
Mm-hmm.
How many cell phones do we actually pay for?
The ones that we actually, the list that the county control the towns,
No, I wasn't like, how many?
how many,
Because that, if I look at the ones with Verizon,
right,
okay, which I assume are county cell phones,
right.
and I see DeWitt listed 7 or 8 times,
That's
That-
the month.
right, but that's,
That's one phone.
that's why I'm questioning
One phone for his name.
how many phones does
Like,
the,
the Robin Gordon, she has her phone.
okay, but how many does the county actually pay for? The number.
The full amount.
Well, the sheriff's department, we'd have to ask him how many deputy phones he pays for, because his is a monthly amount. For the number of deputies he has. Like within departments, you know, the attorney's office, you know, Robin Gordon, her phone is paid for, so that's her, one. Her assistants get the $20 reimbursement, it's their own phone.
I just want to know how many
Actual
phones
phones,
does the county
I can get the list. from
Fully
downstairs.
paid for.
fully pay for?
Okay.
We can get that information for you. As I said, the sheriff's department, I will have to ask him. Like here for Mount View Community,
Yeah.
Where are we?
that's on page 5, there are 3 phones for the maintenance department to use at the nursing home. There's 3 phones there.
There's 3 county cell phones. There's 3 members of the,
There's 3 cell phones for maintenance.
right, but
at
there
the
are
nurse-
three people in the maintenance department there.
Well, there's
so
more
each
than
one-
3.
There's more than that.
There's more
Okay.
than 3, so I'm assuming who's ever working or whoever's on call, Bob, who's in charge of maintenance, I'm sure he carries his all the time. The farm, there's a cell phone for each there.
And then, like on page 2, Mr. Chandler we're just reimbursing him. And-
Right, he
Right.
has his own personal phone, so he's
And-
getting reimbursed.
And we're reimbursing Mr. Murray, who says head of maintenance here, but we also have 3 additional maintenance phones on page 5.
Right.
Yep.
So there's actually 4 phones being paid for by the county for maintenance at the nursing home.
Anyhow,
And there's 4 at the farm. 1, 2, 3.
anyhow, fully paid for, if we could, by Monday.
Fully paid for, what about the ones that are getting reimbursed? Partial.
Just,
We can add those up too.
Do separate,
Yeah.
one for because there's many people that have a cell phone, like the commissioners, they have a cell phone, they don't get reimbursed, but we can access them.
Right.
I have a cell phone, I don't get reimbursed, but they can call me. You know, there's many people that are
Right.
in that situation. But
Right.
you just want to know the ones that are reimbursed and fully paid for.
Right. And I think that goes to Representative Umberger's question about the policy too. You know, your phone isn't being reimbursed, but, you know, we've got a lot of people here whose phones are being reimbursed. So
Right.
what is the policy?
I mean, and the commissioners aren't,
Right.
so, and they're, is that someplace to be
that's
going?
why
That should be a policy, yeah.
That's why we need a policy.
Because
Of
if
some-
you have department heads, if you reimburse all the department heads, and she's also department heads, she should get a cell phone then too.
Or maybe we should do away with all county cell phones and just reimburse people.
And as we all know, cell phones have evolved since the
Reimburse
first
partial.
time they were probably purchased. You know, someone probably has one that doesn't have all the features that the new ones now have.
And maybe we don't need all the
You don't
features.
need those.
A flip cell phone without, not a smartphone is fine for me. I don't need to check my email, every, minute of the day and everything.
All you need is text and voice, I guess. That's about it. Anyhow,
Reimburse too.
I realize that you won't have the policy by Monday, but I would like you to look at it. Tom, you have some things to add?
Yeah, how come, on page one, the first two records are the same?
I don't know if that's, I'll have to ask Catherine about that.
And you keep going
Well,
down.
it's the same,
You keep going down and
Yeah.
you have two on almost every,
Right.
yeah, I'll have to ask her what that was about.
I mean, we thank you for this, okay? And we're not,
No.
yeah. And don't misunderstand.
Right.
That it's another one of those hidden things within the budget that we don't necessarily have any idea about. And it would appear that the commissioners probably haven't asked the question. And that's,
Could I ask where it is in the budget?
Well, it should be under phone expense.
Okay.
You know, it is a budgeted item.
Right. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
verify what line item that
Yeah,
we're
no,
talking about.
It's under phone expense.
Yeah.
so if I go to, and, okay, let's see. Phone expense.
But it doesn't say cell phone.
No. Okay, like, I'm on page 14, where it says telephone. You're budgeting $400 for the year. And some of that is landline, and some of that is cell phone.
Yes.
Okay. So if we are paying for cell phones, why do they need landlines?
Well, because they're not in their office all the time. This is maintenance, so this is, Will could be anywhere on the complex and may not get back to his office.
Right, but that's why I said.
But we have to have an office line for people calling into the office.
Why can't they call the cell phone?
Cell phones aren't listed
Listed.
in the phone
Telephone
book,
directory.
and
You can list them, cost you 50 cents a month.
Can be listed on the county
so,
website.
but, I mean, we landlines, I'm just old school. I like having in the office a landline.
The only reason for landlines is if you have a monitored fire alert system. A monitored fire system. Because you have to have your landline in order to connect to the monitoring system. As far as putting it in the phone book, they will charge you, unless they're with Fairpoint, but otherwise they can be in there. And I'm just, I look at the, I don't know how much we pay for landline phone service either. But I'm sure that's something that could come to grips. But if we are simply, and again, you might ask, how many phone calls have you received this month? Or ask them to keep track of the number of calls they've had after duty hours, after normal hours. And, just think about how we're processing all of this. And, and the other question is, does the landline, can you automatically transfer it to the cell phone? Or, there are all kinds of things out there that I don't understand, but, yes, Tom?
I look at the $400 budget for maintenance, and we spent more than $400 on cell phones
Oh, that's cool.
in the same category.
Yep.
And how can we then be spending for
And
landlines?
which,
I'm on page 5.
Oops, page 5, oh, page 5 of this.
The
Page
cell phone
5
list?
Page 5 of the thing, and you add up the
well,
maintenance.
with
What is he talking about?
Page 5 is,
page 5, that's the nursing home maintenance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we can look at nursing home
Oh, so he
maintenance.
looks at the wrong, he
And-
looks at the, maintenance
And-
of the nursing home.
Some of the, let's see, it's nursing home.
Yeah, he said you look at the wrong one, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that fits. There's the $8,000.
Okay, anyhow,
Okay, so I'll get you the numbers. Some of our landlines too, like the water system, they have the landline down in the maintenance building because if there's a problem with the water system, that it rings
right,
in.
I understand
there's
that.
certain-
Yep, there's certain.
Sure.
Certain things that,
I agree that there are certain phones that probably need to be that way. And the cell phone, if we're saying the cell phone is only for emergencies, if that's what it's for, then we need to define what an emergency is.
And who needs to respond to
Right.
emergencies?
Well, like, the farm, if they're out, they're not sitting in the office, they're either out, doing wood, plowing, hay, all that kind of stuff, but they have their cell phone so someone can contact
Well,
them.
if there's nobody in the office, who's gonna contact?
Well, we have their cell phones in our,
Right, but, right.
If
But does
they
everyone
call the
working on the
farm-
farm need a cell phone? Can it just be the farm manager,
And that's part of the decision-making process that the commissioners need
we'll
to
review the system.
review and figure out what we need for telephone service within the county. And, I don't have a problem with that. And we even have the digital phones that, that you can get. But,
and they'll change tomorrow.
huh?
And they'll change tomorrow.
That could be, I don't know. But I just ask that, and I do thank Representative Cordelli for bringing that up, so. All right. Okay. Taxes.
Ooh.
Okay.
taxes in terms of,
Oh, the
did the
property.
county pays or did the residents pay?
No,
Or both?
the county.
Time.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, taxes are under the commissioner, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Okay. And I see nothing that we are paying for that has anything to do with commissioners. It all has to do with the farm.
Well,
And
not necessarily.
what?
For example, the taxes that we pay for up on the mountain for those buildings, that's the water department.
Yeah.
We have a storage unit up there, we have a separate building where we treat the water. That is taxed, and that goes to the water department, that's where it should go.
Right, but
It's right
isn't
now,
the
it's
water-
under the commissioner's budget.
But isn't the water department under the farm?
No, it's
Who
a
are they
separate
under?
department.
Oh, I thought it was, okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's separate.
Okay.
We need to get some feeling as to what you want to do.
I want
Do you
it-
want it to be all the taxes under the commissioners?
No.
Do you want it to be separated out?
I want it to be charged to who is paying for it. In other words, the water department is the water department,
Yeah,
and they're paying taxes. Therefore, it should be charged to them. The farm is paying the farm taxes, and therefore, it should be charged to them.
okay.
Because what we have is a false concept of profit from those two entities. Because the commissioners, in their budget, are paying the taxes, as opposed to the farm and the water department, where the income is being generated.
I see what you're saying, but in some cases, we're going one direction where we're taking it out of the budget, like IT, so that we have it a separate one. And that's the way the taxes are right now, it's all under the
Right.
commissioner's budget,
But-
all the taxes, whatever they are.
Right, but those two entities are profit-making entities, and so everything that belongs to them, just like, the stuff that belongs to the nursing home. I don't know what you call your fund that manages the water in the village. Is that a separate fund? I don't know how that's handled.
Okay.
Um,
Did you receive, through the mail, the policy that we have with the people down in the village
I didn't.
regarding, you didn't?
uh-uh.
Okay. I was wrong when I sent you that email saying that we charge 50 cents 100, it's 40 cents 100 gallons, in addition to the $100 per quarter that they pay, a flat fee. So each person down there, and there's between 44 and 47 people that are on our water system. We tried to get rid of that, but we couldn't. Years and years and years ago, something was made and
Yeah.
we can't get out of it. We tried to, but we couldn't. So each person down there is on our water system, gets charged $100 a quarter, plus 40 cents per 100 gallons usage fee, because each house has a meter, okay? Now, when it comes up to our buildings up here, according to the architect, we divide that up, so we have a flat fee, let's say for this building, $150 a quarter. For the nursing home, because they use more water, it's a different figure, but it's based on an architectural figure. Same is true for the jail, when they were built.
But you were going to put meters on all the buildings here, is that correct?
Yes, and we have a price of $20,000.
Okay, what price did I give you?
What's that?
What price did I give you? 20,000 for the entire complex?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, it's
'Cause
not
I
in
had-
our budget, but if you want to put it in.
Because
we'll
I
put-
had sent you a figure. Yeah, I did.
Okay, I guess I didn't get it.
I have,
Or I sent somebody the figure.
Yeah,
Did you get a figure?
no,
Maybe
the
I-
jail
maybe I
commercial
sent it to Kathy, I
already
don't
have meters.
I remember the
Well-
Some
question
buildings
about
have
the,
already
the,
meters.
the
We're
budget
talking about
for
gas
the
and
water.
water.
I have that for you.
Okay.
And then this here, is the,
So, just, yeah, so the water
so what happens is.
is
the-
$100 per quarter plus,
Usage at 40 cents a 100 gallons.
okay.
Every house in the village has a meter. That's read by our people, by
And
the
when you
water
said-
department.
When you said 44 to 47 people, you mean 44 to 47
Hookups.
households,
Right,
connections?
yes, yeah.
They may be commercial, they may be
Right.
whatever. Okay, just a second.
Did they get any water for their $100?
Did they get any water for
Or
the?
is it $100 plus
It's
whatever they use?
$100 for a connection,
Okay,
and then whatever they use, it's 40 cents a 100
okay.
gallons.
Okay, Kathy.
We have one person, one household right at the bottom of our hill, that because way back there was a deed written that should our sewage system go over on their land, we wouldn't charge them any water, and we can't get out of that one either. I tried to do that, and we got a letter from the attorney, so we'd have to fight it in court and everything else, but
No,
other than that, they all pay, including the courthouse, including the one house that's up the street, that's on our water system.
okay, Kathy.
So anyways, I have this information which shows, the usage and how it's calculated for each of the individuals down in the water district, down in the
Village.
village. And then the usage for these 4 buildings is here. And the quarterly fee and the usage, how it's broken out by how the architects and engineers felt that these buildings would use it. So it's all done by percentage.
Mhm.
So we've got, so many gallons, 76% of it is to nursing, and they get charged.
So,
So all the water is accounted for, and the breakout is by what the engineers had felt.
Mhm.
So it's a percentage, so there's no meter, but.
so when we talk about the $59,000 in income,
Yep,
it also includes what the county is paying.
right.
Okay.
Now, to get an accurate
And-
figure, we put a meter on every building.
And how much is the county paying out of that 59,000?
Let's see. Because this is quarter, so.
Does the county pay the $100 plus the,
The county, the administration building pays $150.
this
The
per,
Per quarter.
Quarter. I'm just looking at this billing here, that the quarterly billing was $8,400.
okay, so for the complex.
Yeah,
For the 8,400?
So if I do 8,400 times 4,
yeah.
that equals 0,
Like
0,
30.
6.
A lot.
34,000.
Okay. 33, right? 4 eighths are 32
Yeah.
plus 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 33,000 of the 59,000 is paid for with county money.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, so the 47 people are paying
26?
yeah,
The
26.
difference.
Yeah. They're billed about 6,200 a quarter.
Okay. And, how are, where's the waterworks? I know somebody else has this, but that's okay. Page 4. Oh, I'm in the wrong, let me look in this budget. All right, this is the one, I'm looking at the one dated 1 February, is that the current one? Or do we have another one?
I did do a printout today, just for the water, if you want that.
Okay,
to
that would be,
looking at.
that would be good.
Excuse me, Representatives, do you have any more?
No,
items?
I'm sorry, John, I
you.
apologize. I
I'm
appreciate
around
it.
today, so if something comes up,
Okay,
I can come back.
all right, thank you. So the entire cost of the waterworks, no. Is the waterworks guy only earning
It's
16,005?
a percentage of the farm.
I thought you said he didn't work for the farm.
No. Wayne, who does the water,
We don't need a full-time person just to do the water
so,
department.
so a certain part of his salary is charged to water.
Okay, and what,
Because his time, and you know better what they're certified and,
what's the percentage then?
I think it's 15%? In rough figures, it's 15% for water, 15% for sewer, 50% maintenance, and 20% farm is how it's split up.
15% water,
15% water, 15% sewer,
just a second.
50% maintenance, and 20% farm.
Farm?
Farm, 20%. So most of the time is spent in maintenance, mowing lawns, plowing snow,
And
fixing toilets.
okay, and sewer falls under this?
Sewer has a separate department, separate budget.
Where's that? Oh, there it is, page 14. In this. Must be the next page.
Page 15, actually.
Yeah, page 15.
I don't see any salary line item.
Down on the bottom, labor cost, 10,000.
Oh, labor cost, yeah. But if 15% water is 16,000 and 15% sewer is 10,000,
That's the time spent in those departments.
okay, so it's not a straight
It has
percentage
nothing to do
then.
with the budget.
So it's not a straight percentage.
It's not,
Of
it has
his-
nothing to do with the budget figure. It's the amount of time that those people work in those departments.
Okay, so if the percentage, then I'm not, I don't understand the percentage of salary, 15, 15, 50, and 20.
Well, you'll notice that in the sewer system, there's no salary.
Yeah, there is.
Right.
Labor
Labor.
cost.
Well, labor, okay.
I would assume
You're
that's.
right, you're right.
So our percentages that we have here, that you said are how it's divvied out, don't reflect in the labor costs.
They should.
But they don't. Not if it's 15 and 15,
Right.
and 50 and 20. Then the number in the water and the number in the sewer should be equal. And they're not.
Labor. One is 16,000, the other was 10, you're talking about?
Yep.
Correct.
All right, then my percentages are wrong. We'll correct that, and we'll base it on salaries.
Okay. And that probably affects what's in maintenance and what's in the farm as well.
Yeah.
Because it shows salary and maintenance, and I hope I'm on the right maintenance, jumping from 50 to 88. So I don't know what's gone on in there. I'm on page 14.
Yeah, the farm went down 46. He shifted, and we'll get it from Will, how he has it broken out.
So the farm also breaks out there.
Yeah, the farm salary is 46,000.
Okay, what page is-
It was 77, it's
what-
on 17. So he's moved, page 17.
Yep. So he's moved the 30,000 from the farm to maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get the breakout from him, because he has, I don't have that information. Will gave it to me with the percentage. Because they did that changing of the whole, instead of charging the departments,
Mhm.
they revamped all of that. They talked about it in their subcommittee.
Okay. And going back to water, my only question is this. I realize how the 26,000 is broken out. You have 47 connections? Is that correct?
It's between 44 and 47. I know it was 44 at one time.
How many are paying?
That's a better question.
Yeah. Yeah.
All but one is paying because of the deed.
So it's
Yeah.
46?
How many you got? How many did you get?
I got like 46, yeah.
46?
I mean, I can do, some of them have two bills. The law office,
But that's because they have two hookups, right?
they actually have, I got four.
So they're charged 400 a month plus usage.
Hmm?
So that's
A quarter, yeah.
and a quarter. Okay. All right. My only question is whether or not the $26,000 covers all of the costs that the water person does off premise.
Oh, his time? Is that what you mean?
If people,
His salary, his
His time, because he has to do certain, not just in the village, he has to do certain testings and checking of the system, and he would like to know his time.
I just want to make
Basically.
sure that for what he has to do for off-premise is covered by the $26,000 that the people are paying for that service.
For that person.
If we have to disconnect, they get charged a fee. If we connect,
I
they get charged a fee.
understand all
Yeah.
that. But assuming that everything is static,
Mhm.
because if a disconnect comes, that the $100 fee that you charge should cover the time and material to do that.
No, it's an extra charge,
I understand.
Right.
I just said,
okay?
Right.
the $100 fee that you charge for a disconnect, or whatever the fee is,
Yeah.
should cover the time and material for
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
activity.
We just want to make sure we're not losing money in this service.
Yeah. Plus, not only his time and, you know, the time,
We
but
don't do an awful
also
lot of those.
the $2,700 in taxes that the water department is charged. Now, if, I don't know what the ratio, obviously it appears that the people downtown are using almost as much water as this entire complex based on how much you're charging.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's not quite, but, you know, 26 and
Close.
33, it's close. And so, you know, is the question, are we, you know, are our charges fair to
Right.
both sides? So that's kind of where I'm, you know, this all came up because of paying taxes, you know, and so that's,
Yeah. The only
That's
thing we
why.
haven't done is if we're going to charge the taxes that are used up on the mountain, which the town of Ossipee is charging us, then that should be charged to the water department,
Mhm.
which is not being charged now.
right. And then the farm should pay for their current use taxes.
Yeah.
Now, just for the, I'll give you this, I'll make a copy for you, but for the quarterly, for the whole quarter, the village used 370,800 gallons, 370,800.
So 37,000 gallons.
No, 370,800
Oh, okay,
for the quarter.
okay.
The-
3,700.
The
370,000.
800.
370.
That's okay.
800.
Okay,
Yep.
And then, but our buildings here used 1,397,480
For a quarter.
for a quarter. So the total,
so it would sound to me like
We're paying more, we use more.
that
the county uses more.
we may be messing with the people in Ossipee Village.
Yeah. We're using 4 times the amount, more than 4 times the amount of water, but billing isn't that far apart.
Well, because of the 40 cents.
Right.
We don't
Right,
have
that's
as
right.
many.
40 cents a gallon.
It's the same gallon usage fee, it's the same. It's the number of buildings that are down there that get the
Right.
$100, and we don't, because we only have the 4. So it's the building piece of it.
A question, the 1 million, is that the whole county complex?
Yeah, the nursing home.
So all the buildings?
Yeah.
And what does the courthouse pay?
They pay $100 plus 40 cents.
Yep. Yep, $100 plus the usage.
And how much is that?
They
roughly?
use 25,300 gallons.
And what does that equate to in dollars, though?
That equates to $101.20. Plus their $100 fee, so they pay $201.20.
Per quarter.
Yeah.
For the quarter. The fire station pays. I will give you a copy of this so
Okay.
you can
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have
Just,
one?
I would just like to point out, even if, when you, okay, nope, I'm missing one figure. Proceed, sorry.
Okay. So we just need, in this particular, okay, now, my final question is, how do we handle the water money?
How do we handle it?
Is it a separate account?
Yeah, we have it, it's in here under the revenue, page 1. Water department income,
Okay, so
it's part of the general fund.
it's part of the general fund. So every year, we make, according to this, some amount of money off the water. Okay. So the question that I have is, why shouldn't we be using that extra money to take care of needs in the water department? In other words, if you go to the waterworks, which I guess was on page 5, you're projecting roughly $7,000. And why couldn't we use that $7,000 to look at our meters? I mean, the water side is paying for it. And so, in reality, if I own a municipal water system and I make, I make more than I spend, then I use that money to make improvements to the water system. I don't turn around and look for it someplace else. I don't know if you have any budget items in the, capital improvements or any of that sort of stuff for water.
We have an interest and we have a long-term debt for the water system.
But I'm just suggesting that, Commissioner Sorensen said, I don't have the money to buy the meters for the buildings. Maybe the water system should be set up as an enterprise fund, just like,
The water system should be, because we have other people paying
just
a
like
portion of
the,
it.
just like the
Just like the
nursing
nursing
home.
home, correct.
But I know it's never been done that way, but I would certainly think that that should be something on the agenda to think
Mhm.
about.
Do we in fact make money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we make,
I mean, when you add all other things that we're trying to add into here, do they really make money?
according to this, they're making $7,000, and if you subtract 3, they're making
Well, we don't have
4.
the taxes in there.
Yeah, but you subtract the 3 for the
Okay,
taxes, and
yeah,
you're
so
still
that-
making
It's still $4,000.
$4,000.
Right.
And salaries?
Mhm. That's in there.
So for Monday, do you want me to put in a line for the taxes and the water
And for the farm.
and the farm? Okay. And we know what the breakout is. I have the,
Mhm.
for what we've paid, so,
I think a portion has got to go to the nursing home too. The purple section that's up on that map is for drainage from the nursing home when that was built. So a portion of that, or that whole section, needs to go to the nursing home taxes.
The purple taxes are 21 acres of land of the other side of the county farm.
Yep,
And you said that's all used for,
that's the purple section, yep.
and that's all used for nursing home? Drainage?
That's for the drainage from the nursing home,
Okay, then,
not from the farm.
okay, then that should be charged to the nursing home.
what's the amount on there?
Well, it says, total taxes, 788.
No, the bottom, the black and bold.
Right, but that's 398. You pay twice a year,
Yeah.
so 398.
Double that.
398.
996.
So what you're gonna do is take it out of the commissioner's budget. See, what we're doing now is we're separating out that lump sum of 8,000, dividing it up into the water department, the
It's
nursing
because
home,
it's-
and the farm.
It's because it can be identified for that purpose.
Okay.
And that, in reality, I, as a taxpayer, shouldn't be responsible, quote unquote, for that. It's part of the operating cost of the water and the operating cost of the nursing home and the operating cost of the farm. Because
Okay.
what we're showing is greater profit because it's coming out of a different pocket. I realize that on the bottom line, it doesn't make any difference. But on the individual profit and loss across those entities, it does make a difference.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
I'm still looking for clarification as to the direction that we're going. For example, we have 4 generators. They're each charged to the separate buildings. Now, we're talking about putting those costs for those generators into the maintenance budget.
You can't put the cost for the hospital or for the nursing home generator into maintenance. Because nursing home is a separate entity.
Okay?
It's got a separate,
So the others will put into the maintenance.
it's an enterprise fund. And all of the costs associated with operating the nursing home need to be part of that enterprise fund.
So the snow plowing and the lawn mowing, lawn mowing, all has to come out of the nursing home budget.
Well, of course.
Okay, we'll put it back in. We took it all out and put it on the maintenance. So we'll put it back in.
But it's,
I know what you're saying now. Yep.
I mean, I realize if the enterprise fund is lacking, the taxpayers pick it up. I understand that. But
You're right, it doesn't affect the bottom line, it's just where it's charged to.
that's correct. So that we can get a handle, or, have a clearer understanding of how much the nursing home is costing us. And,
So can I just talk about this a little bit?
sure.
Because the maintenance, the outside maintenance and all got put into the maintenance budget.
Mhm.
On the flip side of that, we used to bill and they would get, so like the nursing home would get charged, we'd get charged, blah, 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 blah. And it would be income, maintenance income. Now that has all been reduced and taken out of the income. So if I'm gonna take it now,
I don't know, how much was it? How much was the nursing home cost?
it was like 20-something, 26. I'd have to get, I'm just saying, do I just take it from the maintenance and put it in the nursing home and not worry about the income piece of it
Yeah,
for the farm and maintenance? I'm just strictly gonna take it from the maintenance where it is now, because we didn't create an income from it for
Right.
2014.
yeah, but then how are they going to
Yeah,
expense
right.
it?
So
Hasn't
they,
the-
so they
yeah.
have, so
The nursing home has to expense
Yeah.
it.
expense it, so we do have to create that income for that maintenance
But
work.
it can be just one transaction. You don't have to charge it every month.
It can be a journal entry, can it?
Yeah.
Well, it has been a journal entry,
Right.
Okay.
monthly journal entry, but, so are you gonna just say like an annual cost?
Works for me.
Mhm.
I mean,
I would think you can do what you want to do.
Okay, okay, so I'll need to talk with Bob about it and tell him we're gonna be putting it back in his budget.
You see, I mean, even if it's only $20,000, you know, you charge, when you determine the cost of, when you determine how much a person has to pay for use of the nursing home, you know, you have to know what your costs are, so that you can determine that.
So actually, it went from 60,000 to 25,000, so it's $35,000 to put back in the nursing home expenditure for their care of ground.
Care ground, so that would,
And then I would have to put it back in
Maintenance.
the income side of it. Okay. All right.
okay, so we're putting, what we took out, we're putting it back into the nursing home budget. So if maintenance does the work, then maintenance charges the nursing home for that amount. So maintenance would show an income.
Right.
Okay.
And you've established a fee. It's not an hourly fee, it's a fee, okay? And so, however it works out best for your cash flow,
Mhm.
you know, that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'll just have to do this in the subcommittees that will have to be aware,
Yeah.
like the nursing home subcommittee, that we're putting it back in, and the farm maintenance, that group subcommittee will have to know. Okay.
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 Are there any other open questions? Besides, how are we doing on negotiations?
I don't know.
They're
We-
still
we-
going on.
They're still going on. We have had a report from the attorney, but it's still being negotiated, so we can't talk about it.
I don't want to talk
Progress,
about it.
I guess we made some progress, but they're not close to coming to an agreement, and I'm afraid it's going to end up with the delegation. I don't think that the commissioners are going to approve it, but we don't know that yet.
That's, well, it just better get done by the 31st.
By when?
31st,
Yeah, I know.
so,
Yep.
okay.
Probably go to arbitration if it's not done by then.
The other question I have is, the non-union salary increase. What has been the last 3-year history of non-union salary increases?
Was it based on, what, 3%? 2 point something?
Okay, how about just getting me that,
The information as to
yeah,
what it was.
just send it, just
Like
if you
if it
would.
was 30 cents,
Yeah.
40 cents.
It was
Just-
40 cents last year.
If you would, email it
Yeah,
to
that was the last.
the three of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have for you, the cost for the non-union. I think I sent it, but I have it, with the Social Security, Medicare, retirement, with those costs.
Okay, you have
I
a,
have that for you.
Okay.
I also have copies for the three of you of the salary surveys of all the other counties,
okay,
so you can,
great,
at your leisure, see what they have.
okay.
I hope it didn't contaminate.
Oh, you probably did, but that's all right. That won't be the first time.
Could I ask in connection with that, has there been any change in the formula for health benefits So, do individuals who have a family plan, is there any additional fee for them to cover spouse or family?
They pay 20%,
Everybody pays 20%.
right.
Some counties pay 100%.
Some less.
Hmm?
Some less.
Okay. And my final question is, when did the commissioners vote that they could have dental care?
Then we could have what?
Dental care. That we pay for dental care.
When did they start that?
Before my time.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Is there any payment for that, or is that covered by the county in 100%?
Well, the single plan, they just get the single,
And that's 100% paid for,
yeah.
right? I can't spell single. Okay, and,
I'm going for my cleaning on Friday. We
Oh.
get 2 cleanings a year.
okay. All right.
I don't think, we don't get, I got dental through the state.
What'd you pay for?
I pay several $100s.
That's because we get paid so much.
Right.
So
It cost me more for dental than my salary as a state representative.
We get listen, we get 100 and they get 10,000 or something.
Yeah, right.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry, Dave.
Anybody can run for my position.
You got that right.
Yeah.
So if the commissioners get dental, that means I can sign up for dental?
Yeah.
Because I'm not signed up.
Yeah.
You were signed up and then you
Yeah.
changed it. Yeah, we have your enrollment that you took it off.
I think you canceled it.
You canceled it.
Yeah, because I was not using it.
No.
Okay,
okay.
is there anything else for the good?
Is
Is there anything else for the good of the order here that, my thing keeps getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter? So,
Just a point that I'd like to discuss next
Mhm.
week at our
Mhm.
meeting. I'd just like to get an explanation as to what's going on with the financial audits for 2011 and 2012.
Okay.
I think the full delegation would be interested in what's going on.
okay, all right, gentlemen, we have not made decisions about,
I'm sorry. I
Yes.
was supposed to mention something else to you. Jerry, the administration building, he's gonna need a part, a backflow part, and he's gonna have to, he's still waiting on getting the numbers for it,
a
that,
backflow part.
for the water coming into the building and
So
going out.
why is
It's all
the-
a plumbing thing. I don't.
Why is the administration building paying for
Because
backflow?
it's our building, it's part of our building.
It's not part of the
It's
sewer
underwater.
system?
It keeps water from.
I know what it does.
Anyways, we need to put some money in the budget for that, and he still hasn't gotten the number, and he's been trying to get the figure for us, so it's a plumbing piece for the building.
Okay. If he is having trouble getting that information, I'll give you a phone number to call,
Okay,
and they can more than likely tell you right off the top of their head how much the backflow device part is.
okay.
Okay? All right, so gentlemen, we have not made decisions about recommended changes to the budget. I'd like you to think about that. Because we're getting down close to the wire. and we need to come to grips with, what we're gonna
We're
do.
not doing the commissioners and the other ones?
Just now?
So, pardon?
Nothing.
Are we going through the other budgets?
No?
We went through them
No?
already.
Yep,
Oh, I
we,
thought we were going through them again.
no, we're not. We went through them and we have, these were just things that hadn't been finalized or settled or whatever. And so, but I would like you to think about this and perhaps between now and Monday, you can come to some sort of thought process, and maybe we can meet, since we're gonna be here on Monday anyhow, maybe we could meet right after the delegation meeting, over lunch or something,
Yeah.
and bring our,
So there's nothing for me to concern myself with at this point to make any changes,
Other than what we've talked about.
other than what we've talked about
Right.
Right.
with the tax bill
Right, right.
I, you know,
the
and
maintenance, yeah.
and the IT.
And the IT. Yeah.
Could I just confirm the discussion we had this morning about the DocStar system, document management system? There is nothing provided in the budget currently for that.
Yeah, there is.
There is.
Under the
28,000.
capital.
Capital improvement.
Oh.
Wasn't it 28,000,
30,000.
30,000?
Is in the budget.
Don't you miss this, Dave?
I was just thinking, I miss it, but I don't.
But not that much, huh?
I don't know if Betsy would appreciate this or not, but I talked to former legislator Betsy Patton last night.
Oh, did you?
Karen and I were talking about it the other day, and she's doing fine, wishes us all well.
Well, thank you.
Probably glad, she didn't say it, but probably glad not to be part of it anymore.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad that she's doing well. Okay, we'll plan to meet right after the delegation meeting on Monday,
Okay,
the 3rd,
I guess I won't go to Concord.
as long as it's not an exec session.
No. We get to listen to this, there's a hot bill though. You cannot give tax abatements to people that have watering troughs in front of their houses.
Oh, okay. I understand. That is, I only know of one place.
Not much has changed.
What's on the schedule for Monday? I know it's a delegation meeting, but
Primarily the budget.
primarily the budget.
Do we have a copy for
Kathy?
everybody for Otis Family or isn't it?
Yeah.
356.